What's up guys, Charles from TreeTanksDev. Welcome to today's video, and just going to show you a really short video today on how to take really nice photos in low light. It can be for night street photography, night landscapes, night cityscapes. In my test, I'm going to show you the images on a night cityscape because I do live near the city, so we can go up to the 50th floor to get really nice cityscape shots. So the best conditions, of course, I'm gonna let you know. Firstly, have a tripod. Secondly, hopefully take the picture on a nice clear day without any clouds. But if there are clouds in the sky at night when you're taking the photograph, hopefully you have a lens which is a fast lens. It doesn't matter if you're using full frame or APS-C, this will work on any camera, but your lens hopefully is an f2.8 or lower. In this test, which I'm going to show you the photographs, I was actually on the R6 Mark II with the 24 to 105 millimeters f4 lens. So the fastest that I could shoot, the widest that I could shoot was at f4. And even though this is a new camera with super fast processing, it did kind of take a quite a long time to actually process the pictures because it's just an f4, where this is my Canon 250D, really cheap 2019 DSLR with a really cheap lens as well. Is using the Sigma 17 to 50 f2.8. So like I mentioned, it doesn't matter if you're using full frame or APS-C, this will work. But of course, the quality of the pictures that come out is a separate issue. In this video, I'm just going to show you how to get no noise in your low light or your night photos. So yeah, firstly, like I said, get a tripod, have a lens which is f2.8 or wider. Certainly don't have any clouds in the sky preferably, but if there is, then hopefully you have an f2.8 lens, so it's kind of intermingled for points 2 and 3. And then yeah, basically that's it. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you the settings on the camera. Firstly, go into AV, which is aperture priority, and then once you're in aperture priority, bring your ISO down as low as possible. On the R6 Mark II, I brought it down to ISO 100, and on the Canon APS-C, I brought it down to the lowest, which is ISO 200. And then also for your lens, bring it down to the widest aperture. For the R6 Mark II, I was using the RF24 to 105, so the lowest is f4. On the 250D, the Sigma's lowest or the widest aperture was at f2.8. Next step is to go into manual focus and then turn the focus ring until your image is in focus. And one thing I like to do is I like to change my drive to 2 seconds self timer. So this will prevent any shake in the photograph when I press the shutter button. If you're an experienced photographer, you realize what I'm doing is basically the same as doing long exposure photographs. So at ISO 100, you know that you're gonna get the cleanest, no noise kind of photograph. So the difference between the two cameras, I'm gonna show you on the screen right now. On the Canon R6 Mark II, although full frame and super fast processing, because I was shooting at f4, the processing time took a little bit longer, and also because the clouds in the sky were moving. So you can take a look at the image right now. You can see the clouds are a bit smushed up together because f4 is a little bit slow when coming to this kind of long exposure photographs. But if it's a clear day, you don't need to worry about the smushing clouds. So yeah, everything else, you can see no noise or grain in the photo at all. Look how beautiful that is. So really nice, sharp. And then when you bring it to do your post editing, of course, you can do your own. Maybe you can bring down the exposure a little and maybe bring down the highlights and stuff like that. So depending on how good your lens is, whether there's ghosting or lens flares or maybe light bleeding, so bringing down the highlights would kind of help to get rid of that light bleeding especially. So you can see everything looks beautiful, but because I'm using an f4 lens, the clouds look a little bit smushed because we are doing a low light photo. If I was using the 35 f1.8 RF lens, I would have no problems but because I opted to go for the 24 millimeters, shooting at about 27 millimeters because I wanted to match the focal length on the Canon 250D when I was shooting at 17 millimeters APS-C, that will come up to about 27 millimeters full frame equivalent. So I wanted to match the focal length between the two, so I was shooting on the R6 Mark II at a focal length of 27. So if I did use the 35 f1.8, the clouds won't be smushed. So that's why it's important to get a really fast lens f2.8 or below. Next image I'm going to show you is on the Canon 250D, although a really cheap old APS-C, but because it was using a f2.8 lens, which is really fast, the processing time was much faster than on the full frame R6 Mark II. Because the lens is wider, so it managed to get the clouds nice and clean. If you look at the image on the screen right now, it wasn't smushed at all. It looks really beautiful. Image has no noise and all that, so the whole image looks great. But of course, because this is a cheap camera with a cheap lens, you can see around the edges isn't very clear. That actually has to do with the camera and the lens itself. So around the edges, pretty soft, pretty blurry, but yeah. In the middle, you can take a look at the photograph. Although it's a cheap camera, still very nice and sharp. And then in post-editing, here's what I did. I didn't want that soft and blurry edges, so I just cropped in the photograph. Looks absolutely great. So yep, that's all guys. Just to show you how to get really nice, crisp, no noise photographs, which I can honestly say is worthy of printing out and hanging it on your wall. Really beautiful. Leave your comments in the comment section if you have another way. Maybe you can share with us how you shoot your low light photos. Thanks guys for watching. Hit the subscribe button, like button, and the notification button guys. And upcoming video, again, I'll be doing some filming on the Canon R6 Mark II. Just want to show you the 4K 60 and also the unspoken, the not talked about new feature on the R6 Mark II, which is the 1080p 180 frames per second. So we're going to test it out. So thanks for watching guys, and peace.